Hello students, welcome to my YouTube channel Data Guru Akash, and in this video we are going to talk about
Pandas. So basically in the last session, you might have seen we were talking about the NumPy. NumPy is one of the library, one of the module that is used for array processing, and a lot of mathematical functions are there. A lot of logarithmic, sine, arithmetics, trigonometrics, matrix multiplication. So a lot of things does you can be easily done with the help of NumPy. That's why we use NumPy. And truly, to unlock the full potential of any library or any module, you have to make your hands dirty and deep dive into the functions available on them, methods available in them, and do a lot more practice as much as you can. So that's the thing or understanding that you have to do. So today we'll be looking into the Pandas, the another library, another module that is used for data manipulation, data processing, and all the pre-processing and exploratory data analysis. We involve the matplotlib and seaborn as well, where you have to, so in data analysis you have to also look into the data, visualize the data, try to understand some basic understanding of the data. For that you may need that visualization as well, but for especially for pre-processing, right? And also some array things can also be done with the help of Pandas as well. So Pandas, you can think of it as an in between the visualization and array processing things, right? So you can just simply handle a two-dimensional data with the Pandas. So especially most of the tasks that you'll be dealing with is as a data scientist or a data analyst, or a machine learning engineer, you'll have to deal with this, two-dimensional data itself, right? You'll have to deal with the features, columns, and the data points as rows. So where this, Pandas data frame becomes very, very crucial to understand, and they actually do a lot more, easy 5-hour task. And they are also, good to visualize and good to understand as a row column thing as well. So that's what we are going into. And in the upcoming sessions, we will involve the matplotlib seaborn, and we will understand the whole concept of, EDA and pre-processing, right? So first, today we will be understanding some of basic concept of Pandas. Then later on, we'll be understanding some of the basic concept of visualization. And then we will combine and understand how can we do the EDA and pre-processing using Pandas, matplotlib, and seaborn. So that's the agenda. All right, so I'll just create a new notebook. So once again, this is also one of the module, external module in data science in Python. So if you have not installed it, you'll not be able to import. Once again, you'll have to install the same way, the way I had told you to install the NumPy or any other package that, so pip install the package name. So in order to install this, all you can do this pip install Pandas. So once you have installed it, you will be able to import. So let's import it. So I'll import Pandas as PD. Import. I'm also going to import NumPy. Import NumPy as NP. Right. So let's try and understand this Pandas data frame. So Pandas data frame is nothing but a kind of a tabular data. So basically, you're dealing with the two-dimensional 2D array, we can say two-dimensional array. And the same thing you're visualizing at row and column, right? So for example, if you have a 2D array, you can simply create a data frame out of it. Or if you have some other data type, you can also create a data frame out of it. So remember, we had that np.arrange function, right? So let's say if I do np.arrange and I give total 60 values, and then I reshape it. I reshape it to, let's say, 6 rows and 10 rows and 6 columns. 10 rows and 6 columns. So you see, this is the structure. Or let me just reduce the data here. Let's have only 30. And let's make it, can make it 6 rows and 5 columns. So now this is what you could see. This is the data. And let's say if we store it in something called data variable, data is equals to this. Now what I have to do, so this data is nothing but a 2D matrix like this, 2D array like this. Now, if you want, we can give a total, let's see how can we change the data frame from this one. So let's say we have pd.dataframe method, pd.dataframe, in which D and F will be capital. You have to know that, okay? pd.dataframe has D and F as capital in them. And by doing this, what you will be able to do, you'll be able to create any two-dimensional data into a Pandas data frame. So all you have to do, just pass this data into this. And if you have some column names, right? If you have some column names or indices, you can also pass them in here. So let's say if I pass data, so you see this is what I have got. And if I, let's say, do df is equals to this, and let's visualize the df. So we have df is equals to pd.dataframe data, and this is the data frame. So there are two ways, right? Either you can directly pass the name of the columns and indices over here. You see here this 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 like this. So this is nothing but the data, the column names itself, right? And this is nothing but the index name. So for each row, we have an index. This is 0th index for first row. This is first index for second row, and so on and so forth, right? We can give them a particular value as well, or we can leave them to be default like 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 as well, right? For example, if we do, let's say, column is equals to, we might make it see, these are an integer as of now, but if you want, you can also make them strings or anything else. Like mostly the column names are strings, right? So let's say A, B, C. There are total 5, right? A, B, C, D, E. So you see, if I pass columns is equals to this, so there is nothing but the column names has been assigned to this data frame. If I also pass index, comma, index, yeah, index, you see here, index you can pass as, once again, like any other thing if you want to make them just like numerical like this, or if you want to make them, let's say some other value as well. Let's you can also make them integers, strings as well. Right now you can see these names are A, B, C, D, E, F. So this is how you can also make it, or else you can simply create a data frame without their column names and without the indices, and then you can pass whatever you want. How can you do it later? After creating the data frame, you can simply do, first one, you have to understand how can you get this out of it. So you can simply see, if you do df.index, so you'll be able to see all the indices that is available in this. So this is the index of this data frame, right? Simply if you do df.column, so if you do df.columns, you will be able to get all the column names available into this, right? As a list, or different data type, the index data type itself. Now, if you want, you can reassign them, right? So if you pass a value, so this is how you fetch it. Remember, this is the concept that you have to understand, and this will help you, so many different places. So this is the way you fetch it, the existing one. And if you reassign something, it will be reassigned to that data frame object itself. Let's say, as of now, it is A, B, C, D, E, F, and in strings, right? Let's make it 100, 101, 102, 103, 104, 105, 106, right? And column names, I'm not going to do that. Let's make it as it is, whatever it is. So now if you look into the df.data frame, so now you can see the indices are changed, right? And you have to take care of the, the length. Here, if I would have passed only 5, right, I will get the error, and the error will say that length mismatch, expected 6 elements, new values has 5 elements. So you'll be able to understand. If you go and read the error, you'll be able to understand what's the problem. And if you pass more as well, so you will also get the error. It's a simple thing. Now that's the data frame that you have. This is one way to create a data frame, right? You can simply create a data frame like this, right? If you have a 2D array or 2D matrix or any 2D list or 2D tuple, right? Anything if you have, or else if you have a dictionary, right? You can also create a data frame by using a dictionary as well. So for example, let's say I have a dictionary object. Let's say this is a dictionary, right? Here we have A, B, C, right? A is the key and this is the value. B is the key and this is the value. C is the key and this is the value, right? So in order to create this data frame, what will I do? df of, so let's call it df1. df1 is equals to pd dot data frame. So capital D, you have to know that, okay? Capital D, capital F, and here I'll be passing the D, the dictionary in this, right? And one thing here, automatically this key will be the column name and this will be the value. And we are not passing index, so it will be indexed by default, whatever the default indices are. So you see here, this becomes a column name and this becomes the value, right? You see, first column value 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, second column 11, 22, 31, so on and so forth, right? So that's what it is. And once again, if you want to reassign them, so you know how to do this. And if you want to fetch, you know how to do this, right? So basically we are here to understand how can you simply build the pandas data frame object. And this is not the only ways, right? The other ways, you can simply read the data from the files, right? You can read the data in CSV format or any other format itself. If you have some file that we will see later, but yeah, pandas have a lot of read methods itself. How would we change index if we have 100 of rows? Okay, then you can simply write code for it. You can write the code for it. Like let's say, what do you want them to be? If hundreds of rows, you want them to be something very, very unexpected, right? That you will have to pass each of those 100 rows, right? Otherwise, you'll have to, if you want to make them, let's say, simple, incremental, right? Starting from 1000 and to 1100, right? Then you can simply write the code for it, right? You have range function, right? So range 1000 to 1100. That's it. So you have got a range, and with that, this range will be by default, with step size of 1. So no issues. If you pass here, if you make it equal to, then you will be able to do that. See, you are a coder, you'll be able to understand, right? Let's say we want the feature to be indexed like ID. Let's say we want a feature to be indexed. And you can also have, right? You can, there is something called reset index concept that I will explaining you later. Basically, that will reset your index and have, or if you want to delete the index, right? So you will be able to delete the index, and it will create another index, a column as index, and whatever values are there in the index, that those values will be there. All right. So as of now, we are just looking into very, very basic things. How can you add, delete values into Pandas data frame? How can you delete rows, columns into Pandas data frame? Let's see. How do we fetch a particular row or a particular column from the data frame? So let's say we have a data frame, right? df, this is the data frame, and I want to fetch this row, this row, or any row or any column, right? So see, how do you fetch rows or column from a data frame? For example, this is the data frame, and if you want to fetch any column, so all you have to do df and then dot and name of the column name. For example, first column. This is the first way to do this. Or any column, let's say E column, or there is no F column, or D column, or anything, whatever you want. Other than this, you can also do df and then use the way you do the indexing, right? So you can do the df of, and then here you can pass the column name, right? If the column name are integers, so you can simply pass the integer columns. Here you do not need to pass the strings. So here you can pass, let's say if I'm passing A, so you see I'm getting A column here. If I pass B, so I'll be getting B column here, and so on. So right. So this is how you fetch the columns, right? These are the two ways to fetch the column. Now, how you fetch the rows? So in order to fetch a row, all you have to do df dot, there is a method called loc, right? df dot loc, location. So you can give its location, like which index you want. Let's say, for example, df dot loc, and I want, let's say, 101, right? So now I have got the first column. Sorry, first row, not first column. And also here, one thing to understand, you see, Whenever you are fetching any column or any row, you will be looking into the corresponding index as well. See, when you are fetching the column, you are getting the corresponding index for each value, right? For example, if you are getting D column, right? So for D, you are also getting the corresponding index like 101 and then 3 value, right? 102 and 8 value and so on and so forth. Any column you are fetching. Similarly, if you are fetching the row as well, so you'll be also able to see the corresponding column name as well, right? For example, you are fetching the first row and you see the corresponding column name A, corresponding B, C, and so on and so forth, you are also getting in here. So if you check the type of it, if you check the type of all these, this will be called as a series, Pandas series. So this is Pandas series. So this is how you fetch. The other way to fetch the row is basically df.iloc method. So here you can pass the integral location. So by default, whatever the locations were, right? So by default, it was what? It will be 0. The first one will be 0, right? Here you can, if you pass 0, so you'll get the first column. If you pass, let's say 4, so you'll get the fifth column. Fifth row. Okay. So here you'll be getting this one. So that's how you fetch the particular row or a particular column. And now here the question comes. I told you that if you want to fetch anything, right, you can just do the way I told you. And if you want to change them, then all you have to do just give it a new value of the same length. Simple. So if you want to change any row or any column, see, as of now, you have seen how to fetch. If you just reassign them a new value, you will be also be able to update the values as well, right? For example, if you see df of B column, okay, df of B column. So what is the length of it? You see the length is 6, right? And if you give any 6 value series or tuple or any list or any other iterable item, it will change the value, right? For example, I want to make it let's say 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? 5. So you see the B column will be changed now. The B column will be changed now. See what is there in B column, total different value, right? Similarly, if I want to change any row, once again, I will reassign it any value, right? So that's how you do this. That's how you fetch and that's how you update any row or column, right? Here, if I have to change it, what length should be? Tell me. 5, because it is returning the 5 length. If you change the length, if you give a wrong length, it will give you an error simply, right? You can also make it, a tuple as well. It's not an issue. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. Let's say if you do this and then now check the data frame. So now you see here this value, this one, this thing you have changed actually this one. These are the different way to fetch a row or a column, right? From a particular row, let's say this is how you fetch a particular row, column. From a particular column, if you want to fetch now a row value, say you want to fetch 20. So once again, you do the indexing like this. So all you have to do give this index. This is nothing but the index. Okay, you have to understand. And if you give 108 here, so you'll be able to get that particular value. Similarly, if you are fetching a row, then you can give the column name again. Let's say you want to fetch this. You can give D here and D as a string. And you have got that value. All right. So these are the pretty much basic things about how you fetch a row or a column, a single value from row or from a column, and how to update a row or a column. Now let's see how do we add a row or a column. So df of, so let's say, see, you saw how to fetch, right? If you, let's say, want to add, then you have to give a new row name or a new column name and reassign a value. For example, let's take example of this. So as of now, we're looking into df. Let's look into df1 now. df1 has this value, right? If I want to add another column called d, right? So all I have to do, this is how I'll not be able to fetch because d is not there, right? So it will give me a key error. But if you reassign a value, it will accept it. Okay. So remember, if you want to update a C column like this, so you'll have to do like this. So you can give whatever you want, right? You can do whatever you want. This is how you update it. But in order to add, you need to give a new column name, because if you give the previous existing column name, it will update it. And here, if I give a new column name and then I make it 201, 202, 203, 204, 5, 246. Now you see df1, and you see there is another column D has been added, right? Now, if I want to add a row, right? So what will I do? Df of LOC, and here I can give the row name. Let's say I want to make it 9 is equals to, how many lengths should I pass? 4, because there are 4 values as of now here. So 7, 77, 107, 107, and 207. There is something wrong. What it says, it cannot set a row with mismatched column. Sorry, this is df. I meant to make df1. Yeah. So if I see the df1, so you see here there's another column has been added into this, right? This might be making sense to you guys now. So like this is how you add, fetch, delete, or update the values in a particular data frame. So the way you are fetching it, it's up to you. First you fetch the column and then fetch the row, or you fetch the row and then you fetch the column, and you have to reassign it a new value. It's both the ways are fine. Let's understand now how do we delete. Okay, how do we delete a particular row or a column from a pandas data frame? So what do we do? Let's say df of let's say df1 a. So here we have got column A, dropping rows or columns. So you saw how to fetch one column, right? You saw how to fetch one column. I did not tell you one thing. You saw how to fetch one column. This is how to fetch one column. If you want to fetch multiple columns together, so instead of passing a single value, you can pass a list here. So now in this list, you have passed single value. Remember that here. See, now this is empty, right? So let's say correspondingly here we have A, right? If we pass here, so we'll be able to get that particular column. Okay. If we, let's say, give it as a list, this whole thing, if I give it as a list, so see what will happen. Instead of this, if I give it as a list, so the same thing will be taken as a subset of the data frame. Let's say in this list, if I give multiple columns, let's say B as well, right? And then if I pass it here, then if I pass it here, so you are getting a data frame, a subset of a data frame. This is a data frame. Now this is not a series. Remember, if you fetch one column, it will be a series. But if you fetch like this, it will be a data frame. It will not be a series. Okay. Even if you are fetching one column. So now here we have a dropping. Let's understand how you drop the rows and columns in pandas data frame. Let's say there we have df1 df1 drop. So here you can do simply df1 drop. And now here you need to define in which axis you want to drop, right? Remember that the same name can be on both the axes, right? Let's say if you have set the same column name and same index name as well. Let's say ABCDE and ABCDE in this index name as well. It's possible, you can do it. And if you're telling like I want to delete A, so how would it understand that you want to delete from row or from a column? So that's why you need to pass the axis. So you can pass axis is equals to 1 in case of column and axis equals to 0 in case of row. So here, let's say if I drop df.drop axis equals to 1, and if I give, let's say I want to drop column A, so I need to give it like this. So first should be the positional argument, right? Which one I want to delete. So I want to delete A with axis equals to 1. Here we have axis equals to 1, and now it is returning the data frame without column A. See, it has deleted, but it is not making change in itself. So if you look into the F1, A column is still there, right? If you want to make the in place changes, you can pass in place is equals to true. Either you can pass in place equals to true, or you can also do df1 is equals to do. So whatever it is returning, it will be reassigned to df1. Or if you do this way, so it will not return anything, it will just make in place changes. So you see, this is how you drop or delete a particular column. And you can also give a list of columns as well. If you just want to delete multiple columns, you can give list of columns as well, right? A, B, C, D. Let's now see how do you drop the row. So in order to drop the row, all you have to do, you can simply give the change of the axis. So if you want to drop from zeros axis, so zero will be like you want to drop a row. And here you have to give the which particular row you want to drop. Let's say I want to drop multiple rows. Let's say zeros, twos, this is 0, 2, and 5. I want to drop this. Now if I look and see, I have also passed in place equals to true. So it will make the in place changes. It will not return to see the value. Now you see here, 0, 3, and 5 rows has been dropped. They has been deleted permanently because I had passed in place equals to true in this case. Right? Any confusion? Anything that you do not understand in this case? You can also sort the whole data frame based on one column, or you can sort the whole data frame based on the index. So it's up to you the way you want to make it. Yeah, let's say you have deleted some rows or columns and there are the data set has been really fuzzy. And if you want to make them look like, cleaner, so you can simply reset the index. So let's say we have df1, or let's say df itself, right? Let's say this is 101. If you want to make them to be default, so what you can do, df dot reset, something called reset index. If you do this, if you run this, there you see it has resetted the index. If you want to set your index as a column, so this is the, now you see when you reset the index, it will be resetted to by default index like 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But the index names, you see index name has been also added as the column in this. You know why? The reason behind this is, let's say later on you want to use the indices for something, right? If you want to save them, so you can save them like this. If you don't want to save them, you can simply use drop is equals to true. If you pass drop is equals to true, so there is no index names in saved. And everything will be saved, will not be saved. It will be just returning you the value. It will be only saved if you give in place equal to true. Right now, if you do in place equals to true and I look into this, you see this has been changed there. See, you have this df.drop method. Whatever you want to drop, if you want to drop the column, give the column name and give axis equals to 1. Right? And if you want to drop the row, you give the axis equals to 0 and give the row's name. If you want to drop single, give a single value. If you want to drop multiple, give multiple values, like in a list. That's a simple thing. And see, unless you do it, you will not be able to understand, mark my words. So reset index, you might have got it. And you can also, so let's understand the sorting, the index sorting. So you can simply do df.sort, right? So you can either sort by the index or sort by the value, right? Let's say, so this is already sorted, right? Let's say df.sort index. So index is already sorted. But if you want, you can sort in opposite order. See, there is something called ascending. If you pass ascending is equals to false, it will sort in descending order. See, the whole thing will be changed. So the fifth row is this, fifth row will still be this, just the appearance will be the first. If you want to save it again, so I think once again you can pass in place equals to true, or you can simply do df is equals to df. So it will be reassigned to the same thing. So there is also something called df.sort value, right? df.sort value, sort value, not index. So if I give, let's say, sort values, and so which column, by which column I want to sort it by. So you see there is a by parameter. If I pass by is equals to, so I need to give which column I want to sort it by. So let's say I want to sort it by column B. And then you see here, it has sorted based on column B. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 5, and 20. Right? And the corresponding indices will also change. Once again, if you want to make in place changes, so once again, you can pass in place equals to true or do df is equals to df. Okay, df.sort value. And if you want to pass in ascending or descending order, then you can pass ascending is equals to false. That's how, that these are the, the CRUD operations in this pandas data frame. And it's not only this, you can read the data from a table, from a CSV file, or from anything, right? So if you see pd.read method, so you see pd. There are a lot of read method. pd.read clipboard. If you have copied something, so that will be read from clipboard. If CSV file, if you want to read from a CSV file, if you want to read from Excel file, feather, FWF, right, HTML, JSON, sparse, SPSS, SQL, pickle, table, XML, any kind of file. If you want to read it, you'll be able to read it by pandas.read method. Visually, we deal with the either Excel or CSV files. So if you have some Excel or CSV file, you'll be able to read them. All you have to do, you just read underscore, let's say you want to read a CSV file, right? So read underscore CSV, give the file name here or the whole path, file path plus file name, and then you will be able to read them simply, right? And it will automatically create the rows and columns. The rows will be like 0, 1, 2, 3, the indices, and the column names will be whatever the value in the first row, that will be the column name. So basically, this is something that we are going to look into in the next session. So when I will show you how can you, so whenever you are going to work with the real life data, this is how you'll be reading the data. And you can also, let's say you have done something and you want to simply, this file name does not exist, so it has given an error. So let's say you have done something, you want to save this data frame as a storage or a value like this as well. So what we can do is df dot to CSV or to any method. So there are two methods as well, right? To clipboard, to CSV, to dictionary, to Excel, right? If you want to save these data frame into some CSV or anything else, so you can also use two methods. So to CSV, and if you give the name, let's say abcd.csv. So let's say this data frame will be stored as a CSV file in the current directory. So you see here, there is abcd.csv. So this file has been saved. Now, if you go into your data file, into your folder, you'll be able to see this CSV file over there. So that's pretty much of it.
Thank you so much for watching this video. If you liked it, do press the like button and subscribe the channel for future updates. Also hype the video so that it can reach more students and they can also get benefited from it. Thank you so much for watching this video. We'll see you again in the next one. Till then, bye bye and have a great day.